Good morning, America. Hope everyone is doing fine and well. I really feel that it is important to address the mental state of these young people out here in America, but mostly my hometown, New York City. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, we have to stop addressing these young people as YNs or young niggas. We have to change and get rid of, eradicate that stigma that we are putting on these young people. And I'm gonna explain to you why. For those who were born in probably the 80s, but definitely the 70s and the 60s, etc., I don't know if we were all taught or told not to call their kids names. For example, you should not call your daughter a bitch at a young age. Because the more you continue to call that child a bitch as she grows up, she might just be a bitch. You don't call your young son, nephew, or whatever, stupid. Like, I done been in houses when I see these females, even some males, they stupid, calling the child stupid so much that they grow up and they do stupid things all the time. Retarded, piece of shit, and all of these negative names that we're putting on these children, and then we're wondering why they're growing up acting as so, because you planted it in their head. Let me tell you how amazing that the brain is. Subconsciously, these kids believe it's like you're molding them to be these names, and you don't even understand or realize that until they get older and they're acting out. They're acting like bitches. They're acting stupid. They're acting retarded. Assholes, and etc. These names that you all called your children when they were young, and then wonder why they're so reckless when they become teenagers, and so forth and so on. As far as these senseless killings that's been going on in my city, New York City, and possibly everywhere else in the 50 states of America, I could almost 100%, if not 100%, 99% believe that a lot of these reckless murders, killings, homicides from these young people out here comes from a source of pain that derives from home. A lot of these young people, they don't have fathers in the house. Their daddy isn't home. The reason why I emphasize daddy and father, because there's possibly men in the house, but not their father. As I got older, I'm dealing with women, I'm dealing with females, and going to their house, dealing with females who got other kids, and they would ignore the kids just so I could satisfy their sexual needs or whatever need that they needed from me at the time being. I remember being in a relationship with this old Puerto Rican lady when I came home from prison in 2003. And just to make it make sense to you guys, like we would have sex. All right, first and foremost, she lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. I was 23 years old this time. She had a son that was 16 years old, fully aware, fully conscious. And she had a daughter that was maybe about, I want to say maybe 5 years old at the time. But the little girl, she wasn't, fully mentally developed yet. She just knew that, mommy had a boyfriend. But the son I don't want to call him racist or nothing like that or prejudiced, but he didn't like the fact that this black guy who just came home from prison, you know what I mean, it looks not too much older than him, is in the house smoking his mom's boots. Mind you, mom is like 10 years older than me. He knows the age difference. So I say all that to say, I'm in the room. There was times I would be in the room, you know, having sex with this lady. And, you know, if anybody, you know, no offense, who, you know, Spanish, Latin women, they're loud. They enjoy sex. Let me just, you know, make it, you know, kind of fair. They like sex. And there's times I would tell her, like, yo, like, calm, like, you know, you too loud, like, your son over there, like, you don't think he hears this, bro? Like, he turned the TV up. And her response would be like, her response all the time was, I don't give a F, this is my house. You gonna fuck shit out of me, T-Bone. And I'll be like, all right, and I would just keep on going. What happened is that young man grew animosity towards me and his mom, to the point where now I'm going to the crib, he ain't saying nothing to me. He's bumping me, walking through the hallway, walking through the hallways of the apartment, and I would look at this dude like, but me knowing where that's coming from, I never reacted, you know. And then when I would bring it to her, you know, she would go and argue with the dude, and I wouldn't intervene until afterwards, and I would tell her, like, yo, you created this, you know what I mean? You created this, you dig? Now the moral of that story is, this young man, instead of him, granted, he would argue with his mom, but he wouldn't get physical with her. But what he would do was go outside and get into fights outside. Whether it was dudes that was from the projects that was teasing him about me being in the house smoking his mom's, because he's mad, he going outside, probably venting. And you know, young dudes, they're just as disrespectful. They probably like, yo, that nigga up there fucking shit out your mom. And he getting mad. Now he punching him in his face. And, you know, thank God, thank Allah that, you know, it never went to gunfire, because he ended up going to Florida just to get away from all of that nonsense. I could just imagine all these other young men in New York City who's home with their mothers, especially nowadays when where, you know, weed is legal. So these chicks, they're smoking blunts with their kids. Like, it's to each his own. But it's nasty. It's nasty. You got females, you got these mothers getting drunk with their teenage sons, their teenage daughters, smoking weed with their teenage sons, their teenage daughters, sniffing cocaine with their teenage sons, their teenage daughters, popping Molly, ecstasy, etc. Smoking crack with them, etc. And on top of that, they're bringing these men into their homes who's not their fathers. Now, granted, the young man or the young lady off the rip, of course, they're not going to say nothing, because that's mommy and that's mommy's house. And they're not going to be like, mommy, I don't like him. Even though you may have some, especially the young females, that might be like, mommy, I don't like him. But then that's just going to start an argument with her and mommy. Mommy's going to say something like, well, you could get the F out. Not knowing how much that might hurt that little girl. Now a little girl is outside getting gangbanged by a bunch of little dirty young men in the projects, and probably everywhere else in New York City, or probably even outside of New York City. Now, as far as the young men go, you know, dudes, one thing I know about the young men, they want a man in their life. Pause. They want an older man in their life, because they really do want guidance. I used to be one of them. I want to get back to the young people of today. They're in the homes with their mothers, bringing these men in the house. Here these dudes smoking their mother's boots, whatever. And they're angry. They're angry. There's probably no food in the refrigerator. These young men, they're probably starving. They hungry. You feel me? Moms ain't got no job. Her food stamps ran out. And these little dudes, they mad. So now, you know, when mom comes out the room, homeboy, he leaves after smoking mom's boots. Little man, he hungry. Yo, mom, what we gonna eat? Mom says something like, find something to eat. Young man might say something like, mom, there's nothing in here to eat. So mom will say something like, well, go find something to eat. instead of mom saying, all right, I'll make something happen, or I'll go get us something to eat, most of the time these women are telling their sons, well, go find something to eat. That's disgusting. That's terrible. You're just adding more pain and anger into this young man. Now he's going and grabbing his gun. Who knows where he got that from? Probably from the nigga that just finished smoking mom's boots. Now he's going outside, angry. He's hungry. The first other young man who irritates him, boom, 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 boom. And he don't even care if he get caught or not, because he don't want to be home. He feels more safe in jail, because at least in jail he can eat. Even though Rikers Island food is disgusting, he got something to eat there. He's not listening to his mom's getting her boots smoked, or his little sister getting her boots smoked. We have to stop the stigma of calling these young people young niggas and young bitches, etc., and start calling them what they really are. They're young people. They're young men. They're young girls. They're young women. And start treating them like that. Start talking to them like that. Start talking to them with some dignity. Stop telling these young people that they're on demon time when they do something negative, or when they do something that doesn't make you happy. Stop saying you on demon time. Stop doing that. Because for some reason, they're embracing demon time. They're embracing that phrase, demon time. So stop using these negative terms to describe the vibe or their character or whatever the case may be. Sit them down and talk to them. Talk to them. Ask them why they feel the way that they feel. Why they doing what they doing before they go outside and wild out. Your son or your daughter snaps at you because you're being negligent in the house. Ask them, instead of kicking him out, instead of kicking her out because you're pissed off, or because you feel like you're disrespected, because your son or your daughter snapped at you, ask them, why are you talking to me like that? Why are you talking to me like that, son? Why are you talking to me like that, daughter? Don't just kick them out the house, because you don't know what they're going to go out the house and do. And that's not fixing the problem either, because they're going to come back in the house still angry with that pain, or even worse. My name is T-Bone, better known as Taha Abdul Latif. And this is a serious message to everyone in New York City and all other 50 states of America. Have a good day. May God bless America. May peace and blessings be with you.